I was 63 years old when my grandson taught me that sometimes the smallest voices carry the most important warnings. It was a Thursday evening in late October, and I had just returned from my weekly chess club meeting at the community center in Oakville. The autumn wind off Lake Ontario had a bite to it, and I was looking forward to a hot cup of tea. My daughter, Rebecca, and her husband lived 3 streets over, and they'd asked me to watch my grandson William while they attended a work function. At 7 years old, William was a bright, curious boy with his mother's green eyes and an endless stream of questions about everything. "Grandpa?" William's voice was quieter than usual as I helped him into his pajamas that night. He'd been unusually subdued during dinner, barely touching the grilled cheese sandwich I'd made him. "Yes, buddy? Can I ask you something?" He fidgeted with the hem of his Spider-Man shirt, not meeting my eyes. "Of course. You can ask me anything. Do I have to keep taking the vitamins Dad gives me?" The question came out in a rush, as if he'd been holding it in for a long time. I paused, my hand on the light switch. "What vitamins, William?" "The big orange ones. He says they'll make me strong, but—" He trailed off, his small fingers twisting together. "They make me feel funny, really sleepy, and sometimes my tummy hurts." Every instinct I'd honed over 6 decades suddenly went on high alert. Rebecca had never mentioned vitamins. I kept my voice calm, even as my pulse quickened. "Can you show Grandpa these vitamins?" William nodded and padded to his backpack, pulling out a small plastic container from the front pocket. The moment I saw it, my blood ran cold. It wasn't a vitamin bottle. It was a prescription bottle with my son-in-law's name on it, Marcus Chen. The label read Zolpidem 10 milligrams with strict warnings about not giving to children. I recognized the name, Zolpidem, Ambien, a powerful sleep medication. "William," I said carefully, sitting down on his bed so we were eye level, "how long has Dad been giving you these?" Since summer? After you and Grandma visited for Canada Day." He looked worried now, sensing my concern. "Am I in trouble?" "No, sweetheart. You're not in trouble at all. You did exactly the right thing by telling me." I pulled him into a hug, my mind racing. July to October. Nearly 4 months. "Does Mum know about these vitamins?" He shook his head against my shoulder. "Dad says it's our special thing. He gives them to me before bed when Mum is taking her bath." I spent another hour with William, reading him stories and tucking him in, all while my mind churned. Why would Marcus be drugging my grandson? The boy was healthy, energetic, well-adjusted. There was no medical reason for sleeping pills. I waited until William's breathing evened out into sleep before I called my wife, Patricia. "Patrick?" Her voice was concerned. It was past 10, late for me to call. "Is everything all right?" "Trish, I need you to listen carefully." I explained the situation in hushed tones from William's doorway, watching his small form under the blankets. "I'm going to take him to the hospital first thing tomorrow morning. Can you come over to Rebecca's house and stay with her? Keep her occupied. Don't tell her anything yet." "Oh my God, Patrick, are you certain?" "I have the bottle right here. Zolpidem, 10 milligrams. That's an adult dose, Trish. For a 7-year-old." I couldn't finish the sentence. The next morning, I told Rebecca that William and I were having a boys' day out. Breakfast at Tim Hortons, and then the Royal Ontario Museum. She seemed pleased, mentioning that Marcus was away on a business trip to Montreal and wouldn't be back until Sunday. Perfect. Instead, I drove William straight to the hospital for sick children in Toronto. I'd called ahead and explained the situation to a pediatrician I knew from my years working as a high school principal. Dr. Sarah Mitchell met us in the emergency department. "Mr. Thompson, thank you for bringing William in." She knelt down to William's level. "Hi there, William. I'm Dr. Sarah. Your grandpa tells me you haven't been feeling well?" The examination room smelled of antiseptic, and that particular hospital smell I'd never quite gotten used to. William sat on the examination table, swinging his legs, while Dr. Mitchell reviewed the pill bottle I'd brought. Her expression grew grimmer with each passing second. "William, I'm going to need to take some blood from your arm. It might pinch a little bit, but it's very important. Can you be brave for me?" He nodded, reaching for my hand. I held it tight while the nurse drew several vials of blood. Throughout it all, William was remarkably calm, but I could see the confusion in his eyes. He didn't understand why his vitamins required a hospital visit. Dr. Mitchell asked me to step into her office while a nurse stayed with William, keeping him entertained with cartoons. "Mr. Thompson," I need to be frank with you. She closed the door and gestured for me to sit. If William has been taking 10 milligrams of zolpidem regularly for 4 months, we're talking about serious potential harm. In adults, this medication is for short-term insomnia treatment. In children, it's contraindicated. The effects can include cognitive impairment, memory problems, and in severe cases, respiratory depression. I gripped the arms of the chair. What are we looking at? We won't know the full extent until we get the blood work back, but I'm looking for signs of liver damage, neurotoxicity, and checking his cognitive baseline. I'm also legally obligated to report this to Child Protective Services. This is drug-induced child abuse, Mr. Thompson. The words hit me like a physical blow. My daughter's husband had been poisoning my grandson. Why? The question came out hoarse. Why would he do this? That's not my area of expertise. But in cases I've seen before, it's usually about control or concealment. Drugged children sleep deeply. They don't witness things they shouldn't see. The implication settled over me like ice water. I thought about Rebecca, my beautiful, intelligent daughter, who'd married Marcus 5 years ago. She was a financial analyst, often working late hours. Marcus was in pharmaceutical sales, frequently traveling. He worked from home on Thursdays and Fridays. Doctor, how long will the test take? The preliminary results should be back in 3 to 4 hours. The more comprehensive panels will take a few days. I'd like to keep William here for observation. Given what you've told me, I'm also going to have a child psychologist speak with him, just to ensure there's no other abuse occurring. I called Patricia from the hospital cafeteria. They're running tests. It's bad, Trish. Doctor. Mitchell says it's serious enough that CPS has to be involved. Rebecca keeps asking where you two are. I told her you took William to the science center and your phone died. Keep her there. I need to think. I bought William a hot chocolate and a cookie from the cafeteria and returned to his room. He was watching Paw Patrol on the television, his small arm bandaged where they'd drawn blood. Grandpa, why did the doctor need my blood? I sat beside him, choosing my words carefully. Because those pills Dad gave you aren't vitamins, William. They're medicine for grown-ups, and they can make little boys sick. We need to make sure you're okay. His lower lip trembled. Did I do something wrong? No, buddy, no. I pulled him close. You did everything right. You told me when something didn't feel okay. That's exactly what you should do. Always. The hours ticked by slowly. A child psychologist named Dr. Reynolds spent 45 minutes with William while I waited outside. When she emerged, her expression was professional, but I could see the anger in her eyes. Mr. Thompson, William shows no signs of physical or sexual abuse. However, he does exhibit some concerning patterns of secrecy and fear around his father. He mentions several times that Dad has rules, and that we don't tell Mum certain things. I'd like permission to speak with your daughter. Not yet, I said. Let me handle this carefully. Rebecca doesn't know anything about this yet. Dr. Mitchell found me in the waiting area around 3 that afternoon. Mr. Thompson, the preliminary results are back. William has elevated liver enzymes consistent with chronic exposure to hypnotic drugs. His cognitive tests show some short-term memory deficits that may or may not be reversible. We're talking about a 7-year-old who's been essentially drugged into compliance for months. I had to sit down. My hands were shaking. What do we do now? CPS has been notified. I've documented everything. William needs to be in a safe environment. I assume he can stay with you? Absolutely. Good. We're going to discharge him into your care. I want him back here in a week for follow-up testing. In the meantime, no contact with his father. None. And Mr. Thompson? She put her hand on my shoulder. You saved that boy today. If this had continued, the damage could have been permanent. I called Rebecca from the parking lot. William was asleep in the back seat, exhausted from the day. Dad, where have you been? I've been worried sick. Rebecca, I need you to listen to me very carefully. William is fine now, but something's happened. I'm bringing him to our house, and I need you to meet me there. Don't call Marcus. Don't tell him anything. Just come to our house. Please. You're scaring me. I know, honey. Just trust me. Can you do that? 40 minutes later, Rebecca burst through our front door in Oakville. Patricia had made tea, and William was sleeping upstairs in the guest room that we'd kept for him. Where is he? What happened? Rebecca's face was pale, her eyes wild. I handed her the pill bottle, watched her read the label, watched the confusion, then the dawning horror cross her features. Dad, what is this? Marcus has been giving these to William, telling him they're vitamins. For 4 months, she sank into a chair, the color draining from her face. No, that's impossible. Marcus wouldn't. I took William to sick kids this morning. Dr. Mitchell confirmed it. There's zolpidem in his system. His liver is showing signs of damage. Oh my God. Her hand went to her mouth. Oh my God, my baby. Patricia moved to sit beside her, putting an arm around her shoulders. I gave Rebecca time to process, to cry, to rage. Then I asked the question that had been burning in my mind all day. Rebecca, why would Marcus do this? She looked up at me, tears streaming down her face. I don't know. I swear to God, I don't know. Think. What happens on the nights when William takes these pills? What's Marcus's pattern? She was quiet for a long moment, thinking. Then her face changed. Thursday and Friday nights. He always insists on putting William to bed on Thursdays and Fridays. Says it's their bonding time. And he... She paused. He always encourages me to take a long bath, to relax, to put on my headphones and listen to podcasts. What does Marcus do during that time? He says he's working in his office. He has important client calls with the West Coast. Patricia and I exchanged glances. Rebecca, Patricia said gently, I think we need to verify that. The plan came together quickly. Rebecca would act normally, pretend nothing was wrong. William would stay with us until Sunday when Marcus returned from Montreal. In the meantime, I made some calls. My brother-in-law, Gerald, had retired from the Ontario Provincial Police 2 years prior. He still had connections. Within 24 hours, he'd helped Rebecca obtain a court order to access Marcus's phone records and email. What we found made my stomach turn. Marcus hadn't been on business trips at all. The phone records showed him in Oakville, not Montreal or Vancouver or any of the other cities he'd claimed. The emails were worse. Correspondence with a woman named Stephanie Rousseau, explicit messages, arrangements to meet at a condo downtown, a condo lease in Marcus's name that Rebecca knew nothing about. Marcus had been drugging William into a deep sleep so he could slip out for hours at a time, meeting his mistress while Rebecca relaxed upstairs, completely unaware. 4 months, Rebecca whispered, staring at the printed emails spread across our dining room table. He's been cheating on me for 4 months. And he used our son. He drugged our son to hide it. I'd never seen my daughter look so broken. But beneath the pain, I could see something else building. Rage. Pure, justified rage. What do I do, Dad? I looked at my daughter. My brilliant, capable daughter, who'd built a career, raised a son, tried to build a life with someone who'd betrayed her in the worst possible way. You protect William. Everything else comes second. Gerald helped us prepare. When Marcus returned Sunday evening, expecting his normal life to resume, he instead found Rebecca waiting in their living room with a police officer and a CPS worker. I was there too. I wanted to see his face. Rebecca? What's going on? Where's William? Marcus's eyes darted between all of us, landing on me last. Patrick? William is safe, Rebecca said, her voice steady in a way I was proud of. He's staying with my parents. He won't be coming home. What are you talking about? The CPS worker, a stern woman named Mrs. Okafor, stepped forward. Mr. Chen, I'm from Child Protective Services. We have evidence that you've been administering prescription sleep medication to your minor son without medical authorization for approximately 4 months. That constitutes child endangerment and abuse. I watched the color drain from Marcus's face. What? No, I haven't. We have the pill bottle with your prescription label, I said, my voice cold. We have William's blood tests showing zolpidem in his system. We have his medical records documenting liver damage. And we have his testimony. Patrick, you don't understand. I understand perfectly. I stood up, moving closer to him. At 63, I might have been older, but I was still tall, still broad-shouldered from years of swimming. You drugged my grandson so you could sneak off to see your mistress. You put his health, his safety, his life at risk for your affair. Marcus's face crumpled. Rebecca, please. Don't. Rebecca's voice cracked like a whip. Don't you dare speak to me. You drugged our 7-year-old son. Do you have any idea what you've done to him? The police officer stepped forward. Mr. Chen, you're not under arrest at this time, but I need you to come down to the station for questioning. We're opening a criminal investigation. What followed was a nightmare of legal proceedings, but Rebecca had steel in her spine I'd never fully appreciated before. She filed for divorce immediately. She got a restraining order. She fought for and won full custody, with Marcus's visitation rights suspended pending the criminal case. The criminal case itself was complicated. Marcus's lawyer argued for lesser charges, claiming he didn't intend to harm William, but Dr. Mitchell's testimony was damning. The prosecutor, a sharp woman named Elizabeth Hahn, laid out the evidence methodically: the prescription bottle, the blood tests, William's symptoms, the pattern of behavior. In the end, Marcus pleaded guilty to child endangerment and received 2 years of probation, mandatory parenting classes he'd never get to use, and a criminal record that destroyed his pharmaceutical sales career. The court also ordered him to pay for all of William's medical treatment and therapy. But the real trial was helping William heal. The nightmares started 2 weeks after we'd discovered the truth. William would wake up screaming, terrified of invisible monsters. The child psychologist, Dr. Reynolds, explained that his brain was processing the months of being drugged, the violation of trust, the confusion. He's 7, Rebecca told me one evening, sitting in our kitchen while William and Patricia worked on a puzzle in the living room. He's 7 years old, and he has to go to therapy twice a week because his father poisoned him. But he's here, I reminded her. He's safe. He's getting help. And he has you, and me, and Patricia. He has people who will always protect him. Rebecca moved back into her childhood home with us for 6 months while she put her life back together. We converted the basement into a suite for them, giving her privacy while keeping them close. William started seeing improvements around month 3. The liver enzymes returned to normal. The nightmares decreased. His teachers reported he was more focused in class. One evening, about 8 months after that fateful Thursday when William had asked about the vitamins, I found him sitting on our back porch, watching the sunset over Lake Ontario. Mind if I join you, buddy? He scooted over, making room on the bench. Grandpa, can I ask you something? Always. Why did Dad give me those bad pills? I'd been dreading this question, but I'd prepared for it with Dr. Reynolds' help. Your dad made some very bad choices, William. He wanted to do things he knew were wrong, and he thought if you were sleeping, you wouldn't know about them. But that doesn't make it right. It was never right, and it was never your fault. I know it wasn't my fault. He said it matter-of-factly, and I felt a surge of pride. Therapy was working, Dr. Reynolds told me. She said grown-ups are responsible for their own choices. That's exactly right. Grandpa, I'm glad I told you about the pills, even though it made everything complicated. I pulled him close. Me too, William. You were so brave. You trusted your instincts when something felt wrong, and you spoke up. That's one of the most important things a person can do. We sat there as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in shades of orange and purple. In the distance, I could hear Patricia helping Rebecca with dinner, their laughter carrying through the open kitchen window. Rebecca eventually bought her own house in Burlington, a fresh start. William thrived. By his 9th birthday, 2 years after the incident, he was a different child, confident, happy, with no lingering effects from the medication. Dr. Mitchell called it a miracle of childhood resilience and early intervention. Marcus sent birthday cards that Rebecca let William decide whether to open. Most years, he didn't. The relationship there was permanently severed, and Dr. Reynolds said that was actually healthier than forcing contact. Now, at 65, I look back on that October evening as a turning point, not just for William, but for all of us. It taught me that vigilance isn't paranoia, that questioning isn't disrespectful, that sometimes the smallest voices, a 7-year-old asking about vitamins, carry the most important messages. I think about the other grandparents out there, the other parents, the other caregivers. I think about how close we came to missing it, to dismissing William's concerns as childhood fussiness. I think about what might have happened if he'd been too afraid to speak up, if I'd been too trusting to investigate. There are lessons here that I carry with me, lessons I share with other seniors at the community center, lessons I hope William will carry into his own adulthood. Trust your instincts. When a child tells you something feels wrong, listen. Really listen. Don't dismiss it because it seems unlikely, or because you trust the adult involved. Children know their own bodies, their own comfort levels. Verify. Don't assume. I assumed Marcus was a good father because he seemed like one. I assumed Rebecca's marriage was solid because it looked solid from the outside. Assumptions can be dangerous when a child's safety is at stake. Act quickly. The moment I saw that prescription bottle, I didn't hesitate. I didn't wait to gather more information or confront Marcus first. I took William straight to the hospital. That urgency made all the difference. Document everything. Dr. Mitchell's thorough documentation, the blood tests, the timeline, all of it became crucial evidence. In cases of child welfare, documentation is protection. Build a support network. Rebecca couldn't have gotten through this alone. She had Patricia and me. She had Gerald's law enforcement connections. She had Dr. Mitchell and Dr. Reynolds. It takes a village not just to raise a child, but to protect one. Forgiveness isn't mandatory. There's a cultural pressure to forgive, to reconcile, to keep families together at all costs. But some betrayals are too deep. William doesn't have a relationship with Marcus, and that's okay. Protecting yourself and your child from ongoing harm isn't cruelty. It's wisdom. Healing takes time. 2 years for William to really recover. 3 years before Rebecca started dating again. These things can't be rushed. Patience and professional help are essential. The legal system isn't perfect, but use it. Marcus's 2-year probation seemed light to me at the time. I wanted prison, but Rebecca reminded me that the goal wasn't revenge. It was safety and healing. The restraining order, the supervised visitation that Marcus never pursued, the financial responsibility for therapy, these mattered more than jail time. I'm writing this now because I want other grandparents, other parents, to know the signs. If a child seems unusually drowsy, if their behavior changes, if they mention any medication you don't know about, investigate. Immediately. Don't wait for permission. Don't worry about seeming paranoid. The statistics are sobering. Child abuse happens in all socioeconomic levels, all education levels, all family structures. Perpetrators can be charming, successful, trusted members of the community. Marcus was a pharmaceutical sales representative with a corner office and a country club membership. He coached William's t-ball team. He seemed perfect, but he drugged his son to hide an affair. William is 11 now, thriving in 6th grade, captain of his soccer team. He wants to be a veterinarian when he grows up. He has friends, hobbies, dreams. He has a mother who would move mountains for him and grandparents who will always listen when he speaks. Sometimes, on Thursday evenings when he stays over, I find myself watching him as he does his homework at our kitchen table, this remarkable young man growing up despite the obstacles thrown in his path. And I remember that 7-year-old voice asking, "Can I ask you something?" "Yes, William. Always, yes. Always ask. Always speak up when something feels wrong. Your voice matters. Your safety matters. You matter." That's the lesson I hope everyone reading this takes away. Listen to the children in your life. Believe them, protect them. Act on their concerns. They're counting on us to be their advocates, their safe harbor, their unwavering support, because sometimes the smallest voices carry the most important warnings, and if we're not listening, we might miss the chance to save them.